is in this world, in this room, for example, you have to put, some sensors in the ceiling, okay, and the sensors have GPS connected to the satellites, so the satellites are giving to us info about exactly the gravity, the position, the coordinates of the space. What you are trying to do in this case is to create a kind of interactive environment where the people is moving and feel their gravity. You press and you are noticing that you are pressing on the world that is like the apples of Newton. Okay? But now this is more interesting because you have mathematical data which is connected to visual data. What does it mean? It means that we must sense the pressure of our feet on the floor, but at the same time, the pressure of our room in the building, and at the same time, the pressure of the building in the environment, in the natural environment, which it is. And this is a kind of, connected, graduate connected feelings, deep feelings, this sense about the idea of gravity. Okay, so it's so interesting because it is functioning in real time, and it can be a lot of people there, as you are seeing in there. Okay, and you see how it's moving, how it's functioning, how it's pressuring. So it's a very complex programming, very, very complex programming. But finally, it's so easy, so intuitive. That's important, to be intuitive. The friendly user interfaces that finally are resolved maybe through a metaphor, allegory, or something like that. Okay. So what does the picture means in digital? That will be one of the final ideas. What does the picture means in digital? The codifying and translation, artist as an interpreter, the idea of synesthesia, for example, the idea of having, well, I'm not going to show so many things because I think it's late. Too many times. I took too many times from you, sorry very much. But I'm interested in going ahead to the idea of, okay, we can go to the synesthesia. Synesthesia, no? When we are thinking how an apple can sound, okay? Can we provide the shape of an apple through its sound? This is interesting. Or dripping sounds, okay? For example, the sounds of a dripping ink dot, flowing on the water. This is also interesting. And the artists have enough tools to develop these ideas, okay? So I'm not going to show because it's late. Sorry, I would like very much. But the artist has become a poet. This is real. This is real architecture. This architecture is as a metaphor. These are like, I don't know, never remember the names. These vegetables that are in the water that Monet painted a lot. Water. Water lilies. That's right. So these artists imagine a house like that. The house is on a lake, so it was built on the lake surface. Okay, so the cars went through down water, to arrive into each of the houses, and then started living in such a water. I don't know the name, but this is interesting, to arrive to this point. And also, one of my students imagined the electronic space interface like this. I don't know the name in English also. An onion? Yeah, an onion, which is composed by layers and layers and layers. Finally, it's the nuclear. Where does the depiction happen in the electronic space? This is important. Where? Because electronic space, we can more or less drawing what it is, but it's virtual. So I like the Wittgenstein idea. The limits of my language are the limits of my mind. Okay, and Aristotle say we have limits necessarily. Okay, so Peter Babel say that's okay, but the world changes according to what our interfaces do. The limits of the world are the limits of our interface. We do not interact with the world, only with the world's interface. So this is an extension of the Wittgenstein idea, which is very interesting to put it together. So art is a kind of sublime image or experience that happened, for me, in the gray areas. What are the gray areas? This is my idea. Okay, this is a word I use. Gray areas. The gray area is a kind of boundary, maybe between the real and fiction. And we can put the art, the experience of art, onto that boundary. This is a gray area. And it functions perfectly. You can imagine, this is a very nice work. Romy Ashituf did it in New York with Camille Lauterbach. and it's called text rain. And the idea is, I put in front of a screen like that, and then I saw in the screen that texts are falling, are dropping, like rain drops. And I can control these drops. It's interesting. I have a very nice movie, but it takes too much time, so I'm going to show you this. I was interacting with the piece. You can imagine the emotion, because I noticed the words. So I put it in front, I'm standing in front of the screen, and then I'm reading how the texts are falling down. And I can control by my hands. So my hands are trying to move them, to change them, to put new words, and after 5-6 minutes, I'm confusing real and fiction. I'm confusing what is real and what's fiction, because I notice the weight of the text raindrops in my hands. It's true, believe me. I felt something like that. Find the inexplicable. And I love this text from Fernando Pessoa. It's so incredible that a guy at the early of the 20th century never moved from the Rua dos Douradores in Lisbon, Portugal, and has this powerful meaning, trying to imagine new worlds, just staying quiet there, seated in the very poor, house in Lisbon, and saying, I widely think dividedly about the future possibility of a geography of our consciousness of ourselves. This all depends on the extreme intensification of our interior sensations, which follower to fruition will undoubtedly reveal or create within us a space as real as the space that exists in the material world, and which at the same time is unreal as a thing. Wow, it's incredible, that a man inside a room in a very poor house in Lisbon in early 19th, having this dream, this idea, because this is what happened in the text rain from, Camille Utterbach and Robin Isotop. And that's all I wanted to tell to you. Thank you very much.